Good evening. We're ready to begin. This Planning Commission meeting is called to order. This meeting has been properly noticed and posted in compliance with the open meeting law. These proceedings are being video recorded as well as presented live on KCLV, Cable Channel 2. Please note customers of CenturyLink and Cox Communication can view this program in high definition on channel 1002 and in standard definition on channel 2. You can also watch this meeting live on Apple TV, Roku, and Amazon Fire TV on the Go Vegas app. The Planning Commission meeting, as well as all other KCLV programming, can be viewed on the internet at www.kclv.tv/live. The proceedings will be rebroadcast on KCLV and the web the Saturday of the meeting at 10 a.m., Monday at midnight, and the following Tuesday at 6 p.m. Would everyone please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Chair Cherry.
Present.
Vice Chair DeSalvio.
Present.
Commissioner Schlottman. Excused. Commissioner Toussaint.
Present.
Commissioner Williams.
Present.
Commissioner Rogan.
Present.
Commissioner Chadha.
Present.
Thank you.
Thank you. To everyone here with us, I call your attention to the information printed in our agendas concerning our actions and the appeal and review process, if appropriate. On each side of the podium, there are agendas that you can walk up and grab to follow along. Please read this carefully. If you have any questions, staff is available. Also, the second page of the agenda contains our rules of conduct. We appreciate you adhering to these rules so we can have a smooth meeting. Moving on to item number 4, are there any members of the public who wish to speak under this portion of the agenda? They will be cross-referenced with what's on the current agenda. Seeing no one, I'll move on to item number 5. Vice Chair DeSalvio, can we get a motion for the minutes?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you. I make a motion to approve the Planning Commission meetings from June 25th, 2019.
Thank you. There's a motion on the floor. Please cast your votes. Please post. And that motion carries. Moving on to our housekeeping items, are there any items that commissioners, staff, applicants, or members of the public would like to pull forward for action? I'll go to staff.
Mr. Chairman, we have some housekeeping items. The applicant is requesting to withdraw without prejudice items 28 and 29, and the applicant is requesting to obey items 41 and 42 to the August 27th, 2019 Planning Commission. This is the first abeyance request for this item. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Please go up. I need your name and address for the record.
Good evening, Chairman and Commissioners. Keith Leadis, 6604 Manzanita Glen Avenue. Ward 4, President of the Timber Creek Neighborhood Association. Here on items 30 through 34, we'd ask that the items be held in abeyance for time for a neighborhood meeting. There was a neighborhood meeting only for items 30 and 31. The GPA and the zoning, low attendance because there was no variances or SDRs proposed at that time. And in your documentation, you'll see that at that meeting, we did request a neighborhood meeting for any SDR. We have not had a neighborhood meeting. I called the councilman's office 2 weeks ago when we got noticed about this SDR, and I called the applicant's representative last week to please ask for a neighborhood meeting. Still haven't had a neighborhood meeting. Without a neighborhood meeting, I'll be happy to speak on the item, but I would like 30 through 34 to be obeyed. Thank you.
Thank you for coming up. Anyone else like to be heard? Hi, I'll need your name and address for the record, please.
Hi there, I'm Linda Fianda, 9390 West Helena, Las Vegas, 89129. On number items 41 and 42, I'd like to know if the developer is planning to have another neighborhood meeting or if you know any of that information.
I see there is the request for the abeyance currently. I'll go to staff. Is there knowledge of it?
Mr. Chair, based on the letter provided, they do not state why they are requesting abeyance, so we do not know if they're going to have another neighborhood meeting or not.
Okay, and they did previously have a neighborhood meeting?
Yes, because it's a general plan amendment, it's a required neighborhood meeting, so they had one already.
Okay. So right now, it doesn't look like it is in the request. You can reach out to staff and to the commissioners, and actually to Commissioner Toussaint, and between now and if it is passed for abeyance, you are on record right now requesting are you asking for a neighborhood meeting?
Well, what I'm actually asking for another meeting with the new plan, because I do note that staff recommended denial, and there were about 50 people at the meeting that were opposed to it, our original neighborhood meeting. And we were told it was going to be held in abeyance, but I also thought he had said he would talk to the developer and have another meeting.
Okay,
So-
it is up to be voted on if it will be obeyed. I would recommend reaching out to the developer, requesting more information, and I know Commissioner Toussaint can probably
I will certainly do that.
help it
Thank
along.
you very much.
You're welcome to email me, too. I'm happy to get involved to see if I can help, too.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Okay, let's see. So we will have a motion on the housekeeping items.
Mr. Chairman, I just got a question on 30 through 34. That wasn't the applicant that was asking for the abeyance, but someone from the general public with concern. So I guess you would need to enlighten me on if the applicant would agree to something like that.
That is correct, Vice Chair. I apologize. Commissioner Toussaint, are you aware of items 30, 34 for the member of the public requested the abeyance?
I am aware of what's on the agenda. I wasn't aware that they were asking for a neighborhood meeting, but I would think that would be a good idea.
Okay, so you are in agreeance that you would entertain?
I would entertain a motion to have a
Okay,
neighborhood meeting.
Is the applicant here tonight?
Yes, James Smith, 9159 West Flamingo, representing the applicant. We've had this item delayed. We've asked for 2 abeyances on this one. So far, we submitted back in March. We feel that an additional abeyance would be further that we don't need, so we would not agree with that.
Okay, so you'd rather not
I would
have
like
an
to be
abeyance,
heard.
what
We
you're
would like
saying.
to be heard with that. In the meantime, before City Council, we could perhaps have a meeting with them. It's just the time constraints has gotten so far since March. We've been on the record and held this in abeyance twice already.
Commissioner Toussaint?
So you want to be heard tonight, is that correct?
Excuse me?
You want to be heard tonight, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
I don't have a problem with that. I probably will recommend that you do have a neighborhood meeting between now and city council time, whatever happens.
That would be fair. Yeah, we just
Okay,
want to keep it on the schedule.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. And with that said, then, I'll move on to the housekeeping. Make a motion to approve item number 28 and 29, applicant request item be withdrawn without prejudice, and 41 and 42, applicant asked that it would be held to the August 27, 2019 Planning Commission meeting. So I make a motion to approve the housekeeping items.
Thank you. There's a motion on the floor. Please cast your votes. Please post. And that motion carries. Commissioner Chad, I noticed an abstention on your, just need to go on record.
Sure. Items 28 and 29, I represent South Main LLC, who has pending litigation against the applicant in Clark County 8th Judicial District Court, case number A16-748-133C. So I feel it would be best to abstain.
Okay. But on the rest of the motion,
I'm fine on the rest of it.
you're in favor?
Yes.
Okay. So we can leave it as is on the vote?
You can, although, because the item's being withdrawn, actually, the commissioner you can vote on that because it's just a procedural motion, so you would not have to abstain from that vote. So if you want to change your vote to a vote up or down on the withdrawal and the abeyance, you can.
All right, then let's reset it. Do you want to reset it?
Sure, or could we just have a verbal for her?
Sure.
For yes?
I'll vote in favor, thank you.
Thank
Okay.
you. We'll reflect that in the minutes.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Okay, moving on to the consent items. Consent items are considered routine by the Planning Commission and may be enacted by one motion. However, any items may be discussed if a commissioner, member, or applicant so desires. Vice Chair, can we get a motion on the consent items?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the consent items number 7 and 8.
Okay. There's a motion on the floor. Please cast your votes. Please post. And that motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, those items are final action this evening unless appealed to the city clerk's office within 7 days.
Thank you. Moving on to the one motion, one vote part of the agenda. The following are items that may be considered in one motion, one vote. They are considered routine, non-public, and public hearing items. All public hearings and non-public hearings will be opened at one time. Any person representing an application or a member of the public or a member of the Planning Commission not in agreement with the conditions and all standard conditions for the application recommended by staff should request to have that item removed from this part of the agenda. Item number 9, abeyance GPA 75937, applicant owner Bus Yard Properties LLC et al. For possible action on request for a general plan amendment from M to ML, located west of the intersection of Ann Road and Schaumburg Road, Ward 6. Related item 10, abeyance ZON 75938, for possible action on request from a rezoning from R3 to RCL, Ward 6. Staff recommends approval. Item number 11, abeyance SUP 76456, applicant owner Pacific Healthcare 3 LLC, for possible action on a request for a special use permit for proposed mini storage facility with a waiver to allow storage facilities on the first floor where such is not allowed, and to allow the northeast and south building facades to not appear as an office or retail facility where such is required. On the east side of Riley Street, south of Rome Boulevard, Ward 6, staff recommends approval. Related item number 12, SUP 76457, for possible action request for a special use permit for a 79-foot-tall wireless communication facility, Ward 6, staff recommends approval. And related item, abeyance SDR 76455, for possible action on request for a site development plan review for proposed 3-story, 517-unit, 75,161 square foot mini storage facility and an 80-foot-tall wireless communication facility with waivers of the town center development standards, to allow none of the building to be built to the front setback line where a minimum of 80% is required, to allow a 0-foot side yard setback where 10 feet is required, and to allow a 6-foot rear setback where 20 feet is required. Staff recommends approval. Related items 14 and 15. 14, GPA 76644, applicant International LLC, owner Saham Ibrahimi, for possible action on a request for a general plan amendment from RNP to M on the north side of Ann Road alignment west of Schaumburg Road, Ward 4. Staff recommends approval. Item number 15, ZON 76645, for possible action request for a rezoning from RE to R3, Ward 3. Staff recommends approval. Item number 16, GPA 76710, applicant owner City of Las Vegas. It's us. For possible action on request to amend the planned streets and highway map and Schedule 13-1A, and to amend Map 2C of the Transportation and Streets and Highways element of the Las Vegas 2020 Master Plan to add, remove, or modify various roadway alignments within the northwest portion of the city. Ward 4, staff recommends approval. Related items 17 through 20. 17 is ZON 76711, applicant Greystone of Nevada, owner John Sitara, for possible action on a request for rezoning from RE to R1 on the east side of Bradley Road, south of Turkey Lane, Ward 6. Staff recommends approval. Item number 18, VAR 76712, for possible action request for a variance to allow a 1.0 connectivity ratio, or 1.30 is the minimum required. Ward 6, staff recommends approval. Item number 19, VAC 76713, for possible action request for a petition to vacate public right-of-way located north of Clark County 215 between Bradley and Thom Boulevard, Ward 6. Staff recommends approval. Related item 20, TMP 76714, for possible action request for a tentative map for a 30-lot single-family residential subdivision with waivers to allow a 0-foot wide landscape buffer adjacent to the south and west property lines where 6 feet is required. Ward 6, staff recommends approval. Related items 21 and 22, 21 VAR 76685, applicant owner, School Board of Trustees, for possible action on a request for a variance to allow deviations from Title 19.10.020 CV Development Standards at 1463 Marion Drive, Ward 3. Staff recommends approval. Related item number 22, SDR 76686, for possible action on a request for site development plan review for proposed 93,490 square foot public school primary with a waiver to allow no landscape buffer along portions of the west property line where 8 feet is required and 10 feet landscape buffer on the south property line where 15 feet is required, Ward 3. Staff recommends approval. Related item 23, VAR 76830. Excuse me, that's not related. Item number 23, VAR 76830, applicant owner Tall Harrell, for possible action and request for a variance to allow an 8-foot front yard setback where 10 feet is required at 363 North 14th Street, Ward 3. Staff recommends approval. Related items 24 to 25, 24 SUP 76707, applicant All Storage, owner Twin Lakes Baptist Church, for possible action and request for a special use permit for proposed mini storage facility use west of Rainbow, north of West Cliff Drive, Ward 1. Staff recommends approval. Related item number 25, SDR 76708, for possible action on request for site development plan review for a proposed 3-story, 750-unit mini storage facility consisting of 2 buildings for a total of 123,672 square feet, Ward 1. Staff recommends approval. Item number 26, SUP 76683, applicant Craft House Brewery, owner California Loft Partners, LLC, for possible action on a request for a special use permit for a proposed 1,612 square foot beer wine cooler off-sale establishment use at 197 East California Street, Ward 3. Staff recommends approval. And finally, item number 27, SDR 76722, applicant Nevada Distilling Co., LLC, owner 301 Mesquite, LLC et al., for possible action request for a major amendment of an approved site development plan review for proposed 300 square foot addition to an approved 4,650 square foot warehouse building and additional site modifications with waivers of interim downtown Las Vegas development standards to allow a 0-foot side yard setback along all north property lines where 10 feet is required, a 7-foot perimeter landscape buffer along a portion of the west property line where 15 feet is required, and a 3-foot buffer along a portion of the west property line where 8 feet is required at the terminus of Mesquite Avenue, east of City Parkway, Ward 5. Staff recommends approval. And before I go to you, Vice Chair, I will disclose that on item number 26, my company's working on a project that's located within the notification area. It doesn't affect us any less or greater, so I will be voting on the item tonight.
Mr. Chairman, on item number 26, I do own Artifice Urban Lounge within notification area, but this won't affect me any greater or lesser than anybody else in the area, so I'll be voting on this matter.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I would like to entertain a motion to approve the one motion and one vote, items 9 through 27.
Excuse me, Vice Chair, I did not open the public hearing. This is noticed as a public hearing. Did anyone want to be heard in those items? Seeing no one, I will close it and go back to you, Vice Chair. My apologies.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve items 9 through 27 under one motion, one vote.
Thank you. There's a motion on the floor. Please cast your votes. Please post. And that motion carries.
And Mr. Chairman, items 11 through 13 and 21 through 26 are final action this evening unless appealed to the city clerk's office within 10 days. Items 9, 10, 14 through 20, and item 27 will move forward to city council and be heard as a part of their agenda on September 4th, 2019.
Thank you. We're now moving on to the public hearing items. If you could please follow along with me, I'm pulling some items out of order. We're going to start with item number 51. It's ZON 76747, applicant owner, City of Las Vegas, for possible action on a request for a rezoning from C1, C2, R5, R4, R3, and R2, and T4N, T4MS, T4C, T5N, T5MS, and T6UC in the Fremont East District, generally located south of U.S. Highway 515 east of Las Vegas Boulevard, north of Carson, west of Eastern Avenue, Ward 3 and 5. Staff recommends approval. Can we get the staff report, please?
Mr. Chairman, this rezoning request is an implementation action of the Vision 2045 Downtown Las Vegas Master Plan, which sought to update the development standards for downtown by adopting a form-based code for each of the 12 downtown districts. It is a rezoning of properties within the Fremont East District as the second district to be rezoned after the Las Vegas Medical District. The intention of the updated zoning standards is to foster the development of a livable, mixed-use development for residents balanced with the continuation of the retail, tourism, and entertainment corridor along Fremont Street. Each transect zone depicted in the proposed regulating plan will be included in the official zoning map atlas of the City of Las Vegas by replacing the current zoning district for the property. Each of these transect zones has different development standards and allowed land uses related to them. In October of 2018, the Department of Planning began an 8-month public outreach effort by holding neighborhood meetings such as informal coffee shop pop-ups, community meetings, and 2 formal notified neighborhood meetings held at the historic 5th Street School in March and June. Additionally, outreach was conducted through weekly open houses twice a week at the Planning Department. This final version presented to you tonight incorporates the feedback received from property owners, stakeholders, and city staff from various departments. Staff recommends approval for this rezoning request as it is a direct result of the Department of Planning's Downtown Master Plan implementation effort. The City Council approved an abeyance request for the related General Plan Amendment, GPA 75814, until the August 21st City Council meeting in order to allow this rezoning request to go through the application process and be heard with the General Plan Amendment on August 21st. Please note, additional letters of protest and support have been received since publication. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This was noticed as a public hearing. Anyone from the public like to be heard in this? Seeing no one from the public, I will close the public hearing and first disclose that I do have partners that have a financial interest in this, this area. It doesn't affect us any greater or lesser, so I will be voting on the project tonight. Commissioner Schlottman?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I have a lot of business downtown. It won't affect me any greater or lesser than anybody else either. I do have a couple of questions, if I may ask.
Please.
For the staff, I was reading this report last night, and I noticed something unique that I didn't know previously. I thought it was like a T1 through a T6, and now it looks like we're taking like T4s and T5s and breaking those down even further. So in particular, like a T4 Main Street zone, zones intended to provide a compact and walkable urban environment, diverse range of uses, range of small to medium building types. And then we get into the T4 corridor zone, and it's talking about the corridor allowing a wide variety of building types to accommodate a range of commercial, retail, office, and service uses. So I really don't understand the difference between like a T4 Main Street or a T4 corridor, because it sounds like it's pretty much promoting the same thing. And then same thing with T5 Main Street and T5 neighborhood, it kind of sounds like the same thing.
Mr. Chairman, through you, each transect zone, the number is going to denote the kind of intensity of activity that the development will be allowed. And then the descriptor afterward, corridor or Main Street, is supposed to describe the interaction of the type of street that it's going to be on. So if you think about Fremont Street, farther west on Fremont Street, you're going to think more walkable, more Main Street, the kind of facade development that we're going to be asking for, specifically how we want the buildings to be interacting with the public right away, versus farther down Fremont where the road widens and the traffic pace picks up. We'll probably want the buildings to respond to that, right? So that is how that qualifier changes, and it is essentially reflected slightly in massing and the sizing and the height of the building, so density allowances, and then also facades that are allowed.
Through the chair, a few more questions. So is this something that that there'll be a map that shows which areas a T5 Main Street, T5 neighborhood, or does the planning department, or do developers need to come in and speak to the to the planning department, and is this more subjective as to whether or not it falls within a Main Street or a neighborhood?
Mr. Chairman, through you, each parcel has a specific designation with a, T5 Main Street or corridor. So that's already been determined, and we heavily reached out to a lot of property owners in the outreach for that. And those are specific, there's a specific chapter for each zoning transect. So it's not subjective, you don't choose, it's already chosen and zoned as such.
Okay.
And Commissioner, I think it's a color-coded map that, if I remember correctly, that I saw at one point passing through.
Okay. And Director Summerfield just showed me, or pointed that out as well. Whenever I was reading this, I must not have got through that map. But, so this is the first part of the rezoning of all the parcels downtown, and that's correct. And then this goes to City Council after this for final adoption. Okay. All right, thank you.
Sure.
I'd like to make a motion to approve item number 51 and go along with staff recommendation for approval.
All right, there's a motion on the floor. Please cast your votes. Please post. And that motion carries.
And Mr. Chairman, that item will move forward to City Council and be a part of their agenda on September 4th. And just to clarify, the staff had mentioned that this is intended to catch up with the GPA, so that general plan amendment will be requested to be obeyed so that at the City Council meeting in August, so that it can be heard at the same time as this zoning request.
Thank you very much. And we are going to now jump to items number 43 through 45. Item number 43, GPA 76856, applicant owner Royal Herald Byron III for possible action on a request for a general plan amendment from MLA to GC at 1364, 1376, and 1388 Miller Avenue, Ward 4. Staff recommends approval. Item number 44, VAR 76681, for possible action on a request for a variance to allow 17 parking spaces where 21 is required, Ward 5. Staff recommends denial. Related item 45, SDR 76682, for possible action request for site development plan review for a proposed two-story, 3,569 square foot commercial building with a waiver to not align the building with the street frontage where such is required. Ward 5, staff recommends denial. Can we get the staff report, please?
Mr. Chairman, as a result of previous general plan amendments and rezoning actions, there is currently a misalignment at the subject site between the land use designation and the zoning code. Currently, the land use is residential and the zone is commercial. The proposed general plan amendment would correct this misalignment, and staff recommends approval of the request. However, as evident by requested variance and waiver, staff finds the proposed development to be too intense for the subject site and incompatible with neighboring development. Staff therefore recommends denial of the variance and site development plan review applications. Please note that there is a revised staff report neighborhood meeting information table in your supplemental items packet. Also note that there are additional letters of support and protest since publication. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can I get your name and address for the record, please?
Jason Mayhew, 652 Middlegate, Henderson, Nevada. I'm here representing the owner on this project.
Thank you.
The reason for the general plan amendment is basically the general plan and the zoning don't line up, so that one's a pretty easy one there. The reason why we're asking for the variance on the parking is that we wanted to have the ability to put a small takeout restaurant in the front of the building here, because in that area there's really not that much. So we wanted the ability to do that. If we removed that, we wouldn't need the variance for the parking. I believe we'd be within one space. So that's the reason for the parking variance, is so that way we have the ability to put a small takeout restaurant in the front there, a small taco shop of some sort. And as for aligning the building with the front of the property, if we align it with the front of the property, it reduces the amount of parking that we can have on the site by about 2 or 3 spaces. So that's why the building is lined up 90 degrees to the front property line there.
Okay. Anything else you'd like to add?
I do have one question. One of the conditions from Public Works, number 13, about having a pedestrian circulation access plan and wanting us to add crosswalks or activated flashers or temporary sidewalks, something of that sort. I don't really understand that. We're in the middle of the block. Where would we put any of that?
Okay. I'm going to open up public hearing, and when we come back, I'm going to go to Public Works.
Okay.
This is noticed as a public hearing. Anyone from the public like to be heard in this item? Please come up to the microphone. I'll need your name and address for the record, and if you're for or against the project, and reasons why.
My name is Rochelle Hodge Conyers, 1329 Miller Avenue, Las Vegas, Nevada.
Thanks.
I'm for it because I think it's going to bring a new look to it and make sure that it's going to bring jobs, because he said he's trying to put taco shop and make it where people can get jobs and be able to beautify it. So I'm for it.
Wonderful. Thanks for coming out. Thank you. Anyone else like to be heard in this item? Seeing no one, I will close the public hearing, and I'll go to Public Works about that condition. No?
All right, there we go. Mr. Chairman, through you, Roger Bailey with Public Works. The condition is to identify possible attractive nuisances, such as if there's a school nearby, how the students will get to and from, say, the store that they're talking about. We're really not asking at this point for anything such as crosswalks, pedestrian activated flashers, or anything like that, just to meet with the city traffic engineer and see what, if anything, needs to be done.
Thank you very much, Roger. Does that give you any clarity?
I think so,
On the
yeah. So it's
request?
not telling us we have to do any of that. We just have to meet with the
To meet
traffic
and go
engineer.
through.
Okay.
Correct.
Yeah.
I'll turn it over to the commission. Commissioner Williams?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So if we could go to item 43, GPA 76856, I'd like the motion for approval.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor. Please cast your votes. Please post. And that motion carries.
And item 44, variance request 76681. While we understand that there was denial, and certainly we just got classification on the request for crosswalks, I actually think that this is going to be good for the area as well, and so I'm going to motion for approval on item 76681.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor. Please cast your votes. Please post. And that motion carries.
Items SDR 76682. This one's a little interesting, and I know we're looking at aligning with the street frontage and different things, but it's still part of the project, so I'm also going to recommend make a motion for approval.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. There's a motion on the floor. Please cast your votes. Please post. And that motion carries.
And Mr. Chairman, those items will move forward to City Council and be heard as a part of their agenda on September 4th, 2019.
Thank you very much. Okay, and we are now going to jump to item number 57. 57, VAR 76654, applicant owner Elsa Yadira Ania for possible action on a request for a variance to allow a 40-foot front yard setback for the principal dwelling unit where 50 feet is required, and a 20-foot front yard setback for an attached porte-cochere where 30 feet is required at the southwest corner of Dimmick Avenue and Helen Avenue, Ward 5. Staff recommends denial. Could we get the staff report, please?
Mr. Chairman, staff finds this request to be self-imposed hardship and is recommending denial of the request. Please note additional letters of support have been received since publication. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can I get your name and address for the record, please?
First of all, good evening, and thank you for everyone taking their time to view on my case. My name is Elsa Yadira Anaya. My address is 3660 Via Segundo Avenue, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89115. And I'm the owner of this property. Our intention is just to build a new single family. and the residence on the Puerto Couture on the corner of Helen Avenue and Dimmick Avenue, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89130. And we're proposing a front yard setback of 20 feet and a Puerto Couture where the Title 1906-060 requires a 30 feet setback. And we're also proposing a front yard setback where it's the 40 feet to the primary dwelling where Title 1906-060 require a 50-foot setback.
Thank you. Anything else you'd like to add to the project about the application?
The reason why we're asking for that is just the request is to do request that reduce setback is to have extra room for the yard for a future proof for the kids, landscaping, a little more privacy for ourselves and for our kids and our neighbors as well.
Okay, thank you very much. This was noticed as a public hearing. Anyone from the public like to be heard? Seeing no one, I will close the public hearing and turn it over to the commission. Commissioner Williams?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to, on variance 76654, motion for approval.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor. Please cast your votes. Please post. And that motion carries.
And Mr. Chairman, that item will go forward to City Council and be heard as a part of their agenda on September 4th, 2019. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, we are now jumping back to items 30 through 34. Abeyance GPA 75954. And thank you, Commissioner Williams, for staying with us tonight to get through that. Appreciate it. Abeyance item GPA 75954, applicant owner Gold LTRE LLC for possible action request for a general plan amendment from DR to SC at 5445 North Rainbow Boulevard, Ward 4. Staff recommends approval. Item number 31, abeyance ZON 75955 for possible action request for a rezoning from RE to C1, Ward 4. Staff recommends approval. Related item 32, VAR 76696 for possible action request for variance to allow 36 parking spaces where 65 are required, Ward 4. Staff recommends denial. Item number 33, VAR 76697 for possible action request for a variance to allow a 10-foot residential adjacency setback where 75 feet is required, Ward 4. Staff recommends denial. And related item 34, SDR 76698 for possible action request for a site development plan review for proposed 7,632 square foot general retail building and a 1,400 square foot restaurant with drive-through lane with waivers to allow the building not to be orientated to the street frontage where such is required, a 5-foot landscape buffer along the north and east property lines where 8 feet is required, a 6-foot landscape buffer along the south property line where 8 feet is required, and a 10-foot landscape buffer along the west property line where 15 feet is required. Staff recommends denial. Can we get the staff report, please?
Mr. Chairman, the Rainbow Boulevard North Corridor Plan recommends commercial development near the Ann Rainbow intersection and on vacant parcels most accessible to the surrounding residential subdivisions. The subject parcel is along Rainbow Boulevard, a 100-foot primary arterial, and has no other access except Rainbow Boulevard. Staff finds the proposed general plan amendment and rezoning request to be compatible with surrounding development and recommends approval of these requests. However, as evidenced by the requested variances and waivers, staff finds the proposed development to be too intense for the subject parcel and recommends denial of the site development plan review and variance request. Please note that there are additional letters of protest and support since publication. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can I get your name and address for the record, please?
That's James Smith, 9159 West Flamingo, Las Vegas, representing the applicant. We have, as I said before, we've obeyed this item a couple times, so trying to work with staff. They've had a lot of comments, and we've been reworking the site plan. This is the latest one. I noticed that in the plan there's the old one. This is the newest one that we've worked with them upon their recommendation. We've tried to incorporate so many of their requests. Increasing the landscape buffer where this drive-through is to provide shielding to the neighborhood across the street. The rear setback here, we have, according to the plan, it would be a 75-foot adjacency setback would be basically half the property. We would like to, instead of doing that, we've incorporating an intense landscape buffer in the back here is what we're trying to do. Instead of a 20-foot on-center tree, we're going with every 10-foot trees along this back to make it more intense. Currently, it's from a 10-foot to 12.5-foot. Since the property is such an unusual parallelogram, we were trying to orient it the best we can and work with the site that we have. Since it's never been developed, that's, I think, probably the reason why it's been so unusual in its structure. And so when this North Corridor, Rainbow Corridor came through, we were trying to incorporate many of those items to make this enhance the neighborhood. But in dealing with the staff the report, and that's too intense of a use, I've talked with the applicant, and we're willing to reduce this rear building 10-15% to make the parking variance a little bit more palatable. We feel that by getting this down to around 6,500 square feet, we feel that we can get 10 to 12 more parking spaces, getting this up to around 52 to 55 total, where 60, it would probably, we'd have to do the calculation, we'd be very close to the required parking. Some of the other questions I saw, that the trash in the old parking was in this location here. Now it's in compliance with the 50-foot from the adjacent property line. And I'm here to answer any other questions that you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. I'm going to go to the public hearing portion. I do have some questions when we come back. This is noticed as a public hearing. Anyone from the public like to be heard? Please state your name and address to the record, reasons why you're for or against, please.
Good evening, Commissioners. Keith Leadis, 6604 Manzanita Glen Avenue, President of the Timber Creek Homeowners Association, which would be 10 feet away from this proposed building. So clarification, items 30 and 31 are an abeyance item, but 32 through 34, it is the first time we've been heard about it. As you can see from your own agenda, it's not an abeyance item, 32 through 34. For 30 and 31, our community is neutral. I personally am supportive of the zone change, so I appreciate a yes recommendation and sending that to council, but for 32 through 34, we'd still like to have an abeyance so that we're not designing at the podium to see what this new 6,500 square foot building with more parking spaces would look like. Our big issues that we did present at the April 15th meeting with a different representative of the applicant was asking to be consistent. Our neighborhood was required to have 15 feet of landscaping all around it. The gas station to the north was required to have a 15-foot landscaping all around it. We would like to still have 15 foot of landscaping to have 2 rows of trees backed up to the houses. As proposed, I'm assuming they're gonna build a wall because this site's higher than ours. You're gonna have a 6-inch thick wall, 4.5 feet for trees, a 5-foot walkway, then they're building. I don't know how you get an intense buffer with 4 foot 6 inches width for trees to grow. That's, even if 10 foot on center or 2 foot on center, they're not gonna grow, they're not gonna become a buffer. So if this building was moved 10 more feet away from our property lines to have a variance of 20 feet where 75 feet's allowed, that would still allow a 15-foot landscape buffer than the walkway. If the whole site was moved that 10 feet, on the front side along Rainbow, if the drive-through did not circle back into the parking lot, if instead it was allowed to exit with a 12-foot wide exit-only driveway on Rainbow, that building could then now be pushed over by that exact same 10 feet, and now they wouldn't need a variance for their front yard landscaping, and they'd have at least 15 foot of landscaping that the gas station was allowed to put in. In case the applicant remarks on the site to the north was allowed a shed with slightly closer setbacks. 1, that shed was built back before our community was built, and 2, their site plan has a condition that that site stays and looks as if it's a residential structure, whereas this typically is not going to look like a residential structure. The last issue that's not landscaping is the proposed drive-through speaker, 50 feet away from the property line. If it's not clear on this plan where I think this is what it's supposed to be, but probably the driver's going to be ordering, so probably the speaker's going to be over here. And so probably those people are going to be facing our community. During the day, it's not that big of a deal, but if it's a 24-hour drive-through at 2 in the evening, anyone with their windows open or enjoying their second story of their house is just going to have people ordering food all night. So we've asked that by the drive-through speaker, that either a sound wall be put up, a 8 by 20, car length wall by the speaker to block the sound, or if that's not acceptable, a similar restriction that was placed by the city council and agreed to by the applicant of the gas station, which is that the gas station can't operate their car wash after 7 p.m. They can only operate their car wash from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. If we're not able to get a buffer for the ordering area, then we'd ask for a time restriction to only have the drive-through operation from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And the applicant has my name, phone, and email that I gave him on April 15th. And last week, we'd appreciate a neighborhood meeting on these last 3 items. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can I have your name and address, please, for the record?
Yes. Thank you, Chairman. My name is Anthony Brown. Address is 5511 Gemini Bridges Street, Las Vegas, Nevada 89130. I'm a resident in one of the houses directly east of the proposed site. I'm in the northernmost property. There's 3 properties that are east of the site. My back door is approximately 18 feet from the standing wall now, and with the proposed 6-foot, I guess, egress from the wall, I'm asking too that we have at least 15 feet with a higher wall. I have small children, they play in the backyard, and as much buffering as we can provide, as well as we will have to provide some buffering ourselves by way of landscaping to make sure that there's separation. Again, also, as Chairman, Keith was stating, that the voice box will be within earshot of our window, our back window. So our master bedroom window is upstairs, right behind, facing that proposed drive-through area. And so we can hear pretty much everything from that window. So we just ask that it potentially be placed in a different area if proposed.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Brown, for coming out. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Anyone else from the public like to be heard in this item? Seeing no one else, I'll close the public hearing. And Mr. Smith, I'll give you a couple minutes for rebuttal if you like.
Great. We're certainly willing to work with the neighbors. Since this is such an odd-shaped piece, this rear landscaping it can't be straight. It's 10 foot currently to 12 and a half foot on the bottom. We could work out a deal perhaps where 15 foot would be the average. So we could hopefully do something like that. A 15-foot average in the landscaping. Like I said, we were willing to reduce this size. We really can't move the building any forward because we're working on parking here. So we can change this a foot and a half and get that 15-foot average. 10 foot, let's see, whatever it would be, since it's an odd-shaped piece. So we're willing to work with this rear landscaping to make it compatible. The speaker, we can have the speaker face rainbow. That shouldn't be a problem at all. And I think we'd be willing to do those types of things.
Okay, well, I'll turn it over to the commission for discussion. I'll start off by saying I think that staff and Mr. Leadis and Mr. Brown are spot on. I don't have a problem supporting items number 30 and 31. Number 32 through 34, which is the first time we're hearing, it has not been obeyed. I think it just doesn't fit the way it is, and it needs to be worked on. I'm going to go to Commissioner Toussaint. In my opinion, the whole thing should be obeyed and come back with a meeting and a site plan that works, but I will leave it to Commissioner Toussaint to discuss.
No, Mr. Chairman, I agree with you. I think you can't approve part of a project and not approve the entire project until you actually know what's going on. So my recommendation would be to have a neighborhood meeting and to obey this to whatever the next available date is, so we can have a complete plan so everybody knows where they're at.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, since it sounds like there may be amended plans, I would request that if an abeyance is approved, anticipating amended plans, that it be at least a 30-day abeyance so that that neighborhood meeting can occur quickly and any amended plans can be submitted to the planning department in enough time to make the backup.
And that would be August 27th meeting, is that what you're saying?
I believe that's the August 27th meeting. Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Smith, would you be agreeable to that?
Yes, I think we can work that out.
Okay. Then that's my motion.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor to obey until the August 27th Planning Commission meeting. Please cast your votes. Please post, and that motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Smith.
Thank you.
Moving on to items number 35 through 40. Item number 35, GPA 75993, applicant Wheeler Red Coach Mini Storage, owner Investment Solutions, Inc., for possible action request for a general plan amendment from O to SC at 6885 West Red Coach Avenue, Ward 4. Staff recommends denial. Item number 36, ZON 75986, for possible action request for a rezoning from O to C1, Ward 4. Staff recommends denial. Item number 37, VAR 75987, for possible action request for a variance to 11 parking spaces where 12 are required, Ward 4. Staff recommends denial. Related item number 38, VAR 75988, for possible action request for a variance to allow a 70-foot setback to the west and an 85-foot setback to the north, where residential adjacency standards require 117 feet, Ward 4. Staff recommends denial. Related item number 39, SUP 75989, for possible action request for a special use permit for proposed mini storage facility use at 6885 West Red Coach Avenue, Ward 4. Staff recommends denial. Related item 40, SDR 75990, for possible action request for a site development plan review for a proposed 3-story, 56,400 square foot, 324-unit mini storage facility with a waiver to allow a 0-foot landscape buffer where 8 feet is required along portions of the east and south property lines. Ward 6, staff recommends denial. Can we get the staff report, please?
Mr. Chairman, the density and intensity of the proposed service commercial general plan designation is not compatible with the existing surrounding office and office professional land use designations and would allow encroachment of more intense commercial uses upon existing residential neighborhoods where such commercial uses are not appropriate for residential adjacency. Additionally, as evident by the requested variances and waivers, staff finds the proposed development to be too intense for the subject parcel. Staff therefore recommends denial of all applications. Please note that there is a revised aerial map and a revised staff report parking table in your supplemental items packet. Also note that there are additional letters of protest and support since publication. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can I get your name and address for the record, please?
Yes, good evening. Liz Delk, 1980 Festival Plaza Drive, here on behalf of the applicant and property owner. If I could direct your attention to the overhead, please. Thank you. This property is approximately 1 acre located just west of Rainbow, north of Craig. We're on the corner of Red Coach and Balsam. We are currently adjacent to an existing church. To the south of us is a 3-story charter school. We have a county RNP island here of residential, and just above them to the north is a 2- and 3-story apartment complex. We are requesting a GPA and zone change from office to C1 to allow for a mini storage facility. This property was approved for an office building back in 2008. We believe that did not go forward because this property does not have any frontage onto Rainbow, and it likely would not survive with that use. Subsequently, it was approved for a commercial use of an indoor batting cage. That also subsequently fell through. We believe that the mini storage facility will be far less impactful than either an office use or a everyday commercial use. During our neighborhood meeting, there was a couple of concerns. First was the hours of operation. We originally had a 24-hour use. We are agreeing to do a 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. use only, and then we would close the gates and we would not let anyone in. An additional issue that was requested was to put a crash gate on the Balsam exit. We are more than happy to do that. However, looking at the plans, we don't believe there's enough room to navigate U-Haul trucks back there. So we can certainly look more into that, but as of right now, we don't think that will work for this site. The last concern was the three-story height of the building. We are requesting to go to 38 feet where 35 feet is permitted. This is the charter school that is directly across the street from us, which is also 38 feet in height. And as I mentioned, the apartments to the north of the residential also are three-story. They do have some two-story buildings in there, but the majority are three stories. With that said, I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This is noticed as a public hearing. Anyone from the public like to be heard? Please come forward. We do have 3 microphones, so if there's others, please, you can come forward now. I'll need your name and address for the record, sir.
My name is Mark McCurdy. I live at 4597 Balsam Street. I would like to present to the commission, okay, this is the proposed site of the building. Here is the Mormon church. Directly across the street, this corner parcel right here is the 1.1 acres that I live on. I'd like to also present to you if I get a zoom in on this, please. This is what my property looks like. Foliage. This is a residential area. Yes, we have the charter school right down the street. We also have, when I open up my curtains in the morning, I'm looking at the Mormon church. This is a neighborhood. This apartment complex that has been mentioned fits very well as far as aesthetics into our neighborhood. It's not overbearing. It's not putting something there that the majority of the neighbors, you know, it goes okay. We've had no problems from there. This, on the other hand, is something that my neighbors are very adamant about. You know, this is not something, I bought this home in retirement, okay? I'm retiring in 2 years. That was my goal. And when I open up my front windows, I do not want to see this. That's my stance.
Thank you for coming out tonight. Can I get your name and address for the record, please?
Yes, my name is Karen Kale.
If you could just pull the microphone towards you, Ms. Kale, thank you.
My name is Karen Kale. I live at 4597 North Balsam. I have been there for the majority of the time. My parents built that home from the ground up 50 years ago, a little over 50 years ago. The people that live around us, my main concern is the traffic. Balsam is just, and Red Coach, it's 2 lanes. To build a storage facility there would produce quite a bit of traffic, whereas now we do have a lot of traffic just from the charter school because their only way in and out to drop their children off is on Balsam. Don't have a problem with that, but I'm afraid that if we get a storage unit there, there's going to be a lot of traffic with people coming and going, and with the kids, I just don't see where, I know the type of people that, normally people who are using a storage unit have, you know, been displaced from their homes, and I just hate to see more traffic, especially with all the kids that are coming in and out from that charter school. And the Mormon church, that's never a problem, because on Sundays is the only time they have people coming in and out. I just have concerns with the school being so close to that. And with all the variances, you know, that is a mighty tall building, in my opinion. And that's all I have to say about it.
Thank you very much. Anyone else from the public like to be heard? Seeing no one else, I'll ask the applicant to come back forward, and I'll give you a couple of minutes for a rebuttal if you like.
Thank you, Liz Delk, again for the record. Just quickly, traffic, obviously, mini storages are very, very, very low traffic. It would be much lower than an office building. Landscaping, we are providing 25 feet of landscaping on the north side of the property and 15 feet along the west side of our property, adjacent to the residential. But otherwise, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm going to go to Commissioner DeSalvio. You had a comment, quick. Commissioner.
I just wanted to state for the record that I believe that the use of the warehouse or storage unit would be far less greater than the use of an office. I think matching the height of what's already pre-existing around there, and like was stated by the people that stood up here, being a two-lane, I think this would be the less intense use. I mean, that's why I would support it, as we talked when we had a meeting, is because of the use. Going from office to this, I think, is downgrading and making it to not so intrusive, and then agreeing to the hours of operation is no different than the hours of operation of that church or the hours of operation of that Somerset school. So for that, I support it.
Thank you, Commissioner DeSalvio. Commissioner Toussaint?
Yes, you know, something is going to go in this property, and this is less intrusive than a restaurant or a commercial building. And I know that you had a neighborhood meeting, and I think the applicant has done everything to try and to appease the homeowners. Obviously, we're not going to make everybody happy, but something is definitely going to go there. And most people who go to a storage unit put their stuff in there, and they take it out at holiday time, and then they put it back in. I mean, usually they're not there all the time. I know I used to live not too far from a storage unit, and I almost never saw anybody go in and out of there except if it was a holiday time. So you have my support on this. Like I said, I drove down there. I sat there on the corner looking on Balsam, looking to see what kind of traffic was on there. Now, I realize school is out right now, so there wasn't any school traffic, but I was there for a half hour drinking my Starbucks, and I think I saw 2 cars. So I would like to make a motion, unless anybody else has something to say.
Commissioner, just quickly before we make a motion, and I agree with you with what you're saying. The area, it doesn't have a gate currently on the plan, and you talked about a crash gate. Is that, I'm sorry, on the drive that goes on the back side of it?
Correct. So right now, we come in and then go out onto Balsam here. There's a gate here, so once you pass the gate.
Okay, there is a gate.
Yes, there's a
Got it.
gate here, so once you pass that, that's the exit.
And there's obviously lighting on that back side over there.
So, right, we would have lighting. It would all be low-level lighting pointing away from the residential.
Yeah, just because it creates kind of a corridor, you know, with the school there, and
Right.
just to make sure, like I'm sure your other projects, they're maintained, and the security and everything around it is.
Yes.
Everyone's sensitive to that. Commissioner
Yeah,
Toussaint?
most of the traffic is during the day, so if the residents were sleeping, I realize we're a 24-hour town, but like I said, I sat there for a good 20, 25 minutes, and I saw 2 cars. So on item number 35, GPA 75993, I move to approval with all conditions.
Thank you. There's a motion on the floor. Please cast your vote. Please post. And that motion carries.
Item number 36, ZON 75986, move to approve with conditions.
Thank you. There's a motion on the floor. Please cast your vote. Please post. And that motion carries.
Item number 37, VAR 75987, move to approve with conditions.
Thank you. There's a motion on the floor. Please cast your votes. Please post. And that motion carries.
Number 38, VAR 75988, move to approve with conditions.
Motion on the floor. Please cast your vote.
Oh.
Please post. And that motion carries.
Item number 39, SUP 75989, move to approve with conditions.
Thank you. There's a motion on the floor. Please cast your vote. Please post. And that motion carries.
And number 40, SDR 75990, move to approve with conditions.
And Commissioner, was that with the condition that there is the times amended?
Yes,
to be closed?
correct.
I believe it was 6 a.m.
It was 6 a.m. to 8 p.m.
8 p.m.?
Yes. Uh-huh.
And you're agreeing with that?
Yes.
And Mr. Chairman, if I might, we'll tack that condition onto the special use permit.
Oh,
okay.
sorry about that. Thank
Okay.
you, Director. Okay, there's a motion on the floor. Please cast your votes. Please post. And that motion carries.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And Mr. Chairman, those items will all move forward to City Council and be heard as a part of their agenda on September 4th, 2019.
Thank you. Moving on to items number 46 through 50. Item number 46, ZON 76637, applicant Greystone, Nevada, owner Bradley Rome Estates LLC, for possible action request for rezoning from RE to RD on the east side of Bradley Road, north of Rome Boulevard, Ward 6. Staff recommends approval. Related item, VAR 76638, for possible action request for a variance to allow a 21-foot front yard setback on lot 6, where 25 feet is required, Ward 6. Staff recommends approval. Related item number 48, VAR 76639, for possible action request for a variance to allow a 21-foot front yard setback on lot 9, where 25 feet is required, Ward 6. Staff recommends approval. Item number 49, VAR 76641, for possible action request for a variance to allow a connectivity ratio of 1.0 or 1.3 is the minimum required. Staff recommends approval. And finally, related item number 50, TMP 76642, for possible action request for a tentative map for a 14-lot single-family residential subdivision with the waivers to allow a 164-foot intersection offset where 220 feet is required, Ward 6. Staff recommends approval. Can we get the staff report, please?
Mr. Chairman, the proposed rezoning would allow detached single-family residences on lots with a minimum square footage of 10,000 square feet, which is compatible with the existing single-family residences surrounding the subject site. Staff supports the rezoning request. In regards to the variance request, evidence of a unique or extraordinary circumstance has been presented in that the subject site is an infill piece that is surrounded by existing single-family homes that do not provide interior access or the ability to obtain interior access in order to meet the required connectivity ratio. The only option available to the applicant is a cul-de-sac. To accommodate the cul-de-sac and to maintain uniformity within the proposed subdivision, the applicant is requesting variances to allow reduced front yard setback for lots 6 and 9. Staff supports the variance request and recommends approval of all applications. Please note that your supplemental items packet includes neighborhood meeting information provided by the applicant. Also note that there are additional letters of protest and support since publication. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can I get your name and address to the record, please?
Doug Rankin, 1055 Windy Ranch Road, Henderson, Nevada, on behalf of the applicant. As staff indicated, this is an infill parcel. The general plan for this area allows densities up to 8.49 units per acre. Our project's proposed at 3.3 and is in conformance and consistent with the general plan. The request is to rezone the property to RD zoning, which will act as a buffer between the RE zone properties and the R1 property next to us. Staff indicated we have lots in range in the size of 10,000, approximately 10,600 square feet up to over 16,000 square feet. We do need a connectivity ratio variance, and our hardship is we have no other choice, as staff has indicated, and I concur with them. Our setback variances occur on these two lots where the cul-de-sac bubble encroaches in the front yard setback on the portion of the radius curve at these two locations here. I do point out that if this was an RE property, our setback requirement would be 20 feet. These are RD lots, which are in between an RE and an R1, and the variance request is appropriate. And then just for pretty picture purposes, here are elevations for this product. I'm here to answer any questions. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. This is noticed as a public hearing. Anyone from the public like to be heard in this item? Seeing no one, I will close the public hearing, turn it over to the commission. Commissioner DeSalvio.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just for the record, I did attend the neighborhood meeting. Out of, I think, 12 or 13 that showed up, only one person was against it. Everybody else was for it. It is harmonious and compatible. I pass this property at least every Sunday, but I'd love to stop doing that if you can make my wife stop sending me to Costco. But with that said, I will make a motion to approve item number 46 if there's no other comments.
There's a motion on the floor. Please cast your votes.
ZON 76637, motion for approval.
Thank you. Please post. And that motion carries.
Item number 47, VAR 76638, motion for approval.
Thank you. There's a motion on the floor. Please cast your votes. Please post. And that motion carries.
Item number 48, VAR 76639, motion for approval.
There's a motion on the floor. Please cast your votes. Please post. And that motion carries.
Item number 49, VAR 76641, motion for approval.
Thank you. There's a motion on the floor. Please cast your vote. Please post. And that motion carries.
And item number 50, TMP 76642, motion for approval.
Please cast your votes. Please post. And that motion carries.
Thank you for your time and consideration. Unfortunately, there's nothing we can do with the condition on Costco's Sunday runs by Commissioner DeSalvio.
And Mr.
But you
Chair,
have my support. I'll see you on Sunday if I'm there.
and Mr. Chairman, those items will move forward to City Council and be heard as a part of their agenda on September 4th, 2019.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to related items 52 through 54. 52, VAR 76702, applicant George Kakakis, owner DNA Real Property LLC, for possible action on a request for a variance to allow 846 parking spaces where 970 are required at 400 South Decatur Boulevard, Ward 1. Staff recommends approval. Related item 53, SUP 76703, for possible action request for a special use permit for multifamily residential use, Ward 1. Staff recommends approval. Related item 54, SDR 76704, for possible action on a request for site development plan review for proposed 3-story, 220-unit multifamily development and a 4-story mixed-use development consisting of 260 residential units and 16,000 square feet of commercial space, Ward 1. Staff recommends approval. Before I go to staff, I'll go to Commissioner Rogan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do need to abstain on these matters 52 to 54. My mother-in-law is the Vice President of Nevada Hand, the applicant.
Thank you, Commissioner, for the disclosure. I'll go to staff for the report.
Mr. Chairman, the proposed development meets all Title 19 requirements and is appropriate for the area, as it is located near the corner of 3 major roadways and is adjacent to the Decatur Boulevard commercial corridor among similarly zoned properties. The scale and design of the proposed development are appropriate for the area and will provide much-needed affordable housing within redevelopment plan Area 2. Therefore, staff recommends approval of all requests with conditions. Please note additional letters of protest and support have been received since publication. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can I get your name and address for the record, please?
George Chukakis, 2655 South Rainbow Boulevard, Suite 401, Las Vegas. And with me tonight is my co-partner on this, Bob Feibelman with Nevada Hand. You want to state your address?
295 East Warm Springs, Las Vegas.
Thank you.
You know, this is a new development. It's been a vacant parcel that previously was occupied by Fletcher Jones Chevrolet. After, at a period of time, he sold the dealership, or he leased the dealership to Bill Hurd, and unfortunately, that site has been vacant now for the last 10 years. And that whole particular area has kind of deteriorated in time. And this is one of the few appointed areas that have been appointed by the federal government and also the state of Nevada. Governor Sandoval appointed this as an opportunity zone. Opportunity zones are provided in the new tax bill to go in there and renovate and restore, hopefully revitalize neighborhoods. This is just west of the Meadows Mall located on Decatur and Alta. It will be consisting of a total of 240 senior apartments located with retail below, and on the adjoining parcel, which is the same parcel, just kind of kitty corner to it, will be the family development of 240 units as well, facing Meadows, which just to the east of that goes into the Meadows Mall. But this will be, the retail will consist of new, about 16,000 feet of commercial retail, along with an outpad as well.
Okay.
And we do accept all the staff's conditions.
Thank you very much. This is noticed as a public hearing. Anyone from the public like to be heard? Please come up to the microphone. I'll give each person a couple minutes to tell us your name, address, if you're for or against.
My name is Michael Moshe Bialak.
I live at 4413 K Place.
Mr. Moshe, I don't think the microphone is coming on. Is there a button? There we go. If you
Can you hear me now?
Yes,
Yeah, okay.
thank you.
My name is Michael Moshe Bialak. I live at 4413 K Place, which is Old Hyde Park, right across the street. I am against this development.
Okay.
Okay. I've lived in my house for 35 years. It is my investment in my life. Since purchasing it, not only as my home, it also has had to be wheelchair accessible for me, so I've invested even more money into my residence, my home. This development is not going to help our safety. As it is right now, petty crime is gone nuts in our neighborhood. We have people coming in from what used to be senior housing is now low-income housing, and they walk through, and we have parcels disappearing from our porches. We have our mail stolen out of mailboxes. You can't go in there. If you're working on your yard and you go in for a glass of water, you're lucky if your tools are still there. The same thing holds true for Arizona Charlie's. I was here when they were first put up, and a lot of promises were made about the control of our neighborhoods. None of those have come to pass. Then Walmart. And we have our fashion parade going up and down Essex. And now 260 plus temporary homes. These are places for people to live until they're tired of living there. They can leave. I live in a 70-year-old neighborhood, and I've lived there for half of that time period. I want to be safe and secure. Metro does not come through and make patrols in our neighborhood. Metro does not send random prowlers through our neighborhood. There's no fear of consequence, even when they're caught, because Metro's first words are, well, you got your property back. You're not going to press charges. We can't afford to have that kind of housing come into our established neighborhoods. Now, I can't speak for what opportunities there are or opportunists are going to be there for it, but adding temporary housing, which an apartment dwelling does constitute, is not going to keep us safe and secure. We're a good neighborhood. We've been there forever. We're over almost 80% owner occupied. That's saying something. Okay, we're not the best. We're certainly not down there in Campbell Road, but Hyde Park is still a good neighborhood. And so because of that, I urge you not to pass this.
Thank you for coming out tonight. Can you get your name and address for the record, please?
Pardon?
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Robert Pergola, 5925 Shawnee Avenue, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89107.
Robert, could you spell your last name for me real quick?
P as in Paul, R-I, B as in boy, I-L-A.
Thank you.
I have lived in my residence just a half a mile west of where this development is going to go for 46 years now. And I can attest to this gentleman saying about the things going downhill. My truck was stolen 3 weeks ago, which makes me very unhappy about that. But that's neither here nor there. My contention is there are so many apartments already on Brush Avenue, just north of the expressway, on just north of Jones on the east side between Charleston and Alta. And I think this is, the way I read this will be 480 more apartments in there? Is that correct?
That's correct. That's the
That
proposal.
seems like an astronomical amount, especially when Red Rock School is already burgeoning at the seams. Where are all these children going to go to school? I only found out about this 2 days ago. And my understanding initially from what I read was this is supposed to be just a senior complex to begin with. Now it's my understanding reading this as multifamily.
Thank you.
So I am totally against this.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mine is the same. My name is Rita Probilla, 5925 Shawnee Avenue, and I'm worried about the schooling for these children because when they put in Meadows Lane, Red Rock was overabundant. All the kids had to come to school. Now, if you add all these other family homes and apartments yet along with it, it's going to be chaos. There's nowhere in that area to put any more rooms. They have portables now, and there's no more room in there to put any more portables. So that's my consensus about the whole thing.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Anyone else like to be heard? Sir, I got to keep the meeting going. Sorry. Thank you very much. Is there anyone else that needs to be heard in the public hearing? Seeing no one else, I'm going to close the public hearing, ask the applicant to come back up, and I'll give you a couple minutes for rebuttal.
Thank you, Chairperson Terry. As I said, it's 240 senior apartments, and along Meadows right now, you have a considerable amount of older 20-year-old multifamily. I remember when Jim Hammer was developing that property, and also the residential neighborhood to the west of it also. This property is on Decatur. It's a half a mile away from where the residents were referring to. Developing this property will enhance the neighborhood, and development will keep crime away. The development is completely gated, and then the adjoining the development, the multifamily, will be, as I said, 240 units of families, and that faces Meadows. So, Bob, would you like to say anything in regard to it? I did meet with the mayor in regard to this, and I did meet with former Councilwoman Tarkanian, and they both welcomed this development. It would enhance the neighborhood and improvement. It was close to where the old Meadows School was located.
Thank you. Okay. Anything else you wanted to add?
We would accept all the staff's conditions.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Salvio, I'm going to turn it over to the
Thank
Commissioner.
you, Mr. Chairman. I just got a question, because you keep saying 240 senior.
There's 240 units of seniors, and then on the other part of the property, which is all one parcel, it kind of has a gooseneck in the middle, and then opens up again to Meadows Lane. It'd be 240 units of families. Both of these communities are separate from each other, and they will be gated. The senior side will be facing Alta, it'll be facing Decatur, and it will have the retail component, 2-story in height, and then 2 stories of apartments above that, and the rest of the building will be 4 stories in height.
Okay, thank you.
Well, the commissioner had to abstain. I will take the lead on some comments here. You know, I do hear what the 3 people from the public came up and said. I will say, you know, I live in a neighborhood on Las Vegas Boulevard in Charleston where we have very established neighborhoods, and then we have new projects that have come in. I've lived in one of them now for over a decade, and everyone in our building looks forward to the new project that comes forward with housing, especially when it's appropriately zoned like this one. We're not asking for a zone change here. And I see, you know, a project that's going to turn lights on, that's going to have seniors in a community, which is extremely important. I look at this area as a real feeder for downtown for housing as well. I think it's something that's appropriate for the area. I understand the fear of what's happening today, but I will say once the development starts, if it gets approved, you're going to have a lot more eyes on this area than you do now. And I think that's ultimately going to help the neighborhood, not hurt the neighborhood. While this could be something that is brought forward that's C2, that it's an intense commercial, I think that wouldn't be the way to go with this parcel. I think that would lend itself more to, maybe or maybe not, to what the residents had brought up, but I think being residential and then something that fits with senior living, I think this is going to be a good fit for this area. So I will be supporting the applications. Commissioner Tucson.
Mr. Chairman, I agree with you, and I know this property. I bought my very first car at Fletcher Jones, actually, very, very long time ago. I think this is a perfect fit for this application. I really do. And anytime we can provide senior living for seniors that's affordable, I'm all for it, since I am a senior. And you will have my support tonight. Thank you.
Commissioner Salvio.
Just for clarification, I'm just wrapping my head around it. So the senior portion of this, is that more closest to the existing 70-year-old community, and then the mixed-use family is more towards the Decatur side?
No, the senior portion is right on Decatur. And the, if you can see my finger here, this is the senior portion of it right here. And then this gooseneck portion here that faces Meadows is the multifamily. And it's directly across from some other older multifamily that was developed 20 years ago. And if I may point out, just to the west of the site are two large multifamily developments that are over 8 stories in height, and we're only 4 stories in height. I think we're much more compatible to the neighborhood. And if I could just add this too, the Nevada Housing Division has already provided a portion of the financing for it, and the city of Las Vegas is some of the other financing is coming from the city of Las Vegas, their taxes and bonds, and the rest of it will be provided by the Nevada Housing Division. So, you know, we've had a great collaboration, a good working relationship with the state and the city, and in regard to this entire development.
Thank you for the clarification, because that's what I was worried about. I wanted to make sure that the seniors had access and they were more encroaching on the existing 70-year-old community, maybe for less intrusiveness or whatever, and then maybe put the multifamily in an area that is a little bit more rambunctious, would you say? So for that, I can support it.
Thank you.
I'd like to make a motion to approve item 52, if there's nobody other comments, and that would be VAR 76702.
There's a motion on the floor. Please cast your votes. Please post. And that motion carries.
I'd like to make a motion to approve SUP 76703, item 53.
There's a motion on the floor. Please cast your votes. Please post. And that motion carries.
And item number 54, SDR 76704, motion to approve.
There's a motion on the floor. Please cast your votes. Please post. And that motion carries.
And Mr. Chairman, those items will move forward to City Council and be heard as a part of their agenda on September 4th, 2019.
Thank you for your approval.
Thank you. Good night.
If I could, would you mind maybe taking their phone number, just to have a line, or email to have a line of
Certainly.
communication
Be more than happy to.
with the residents? I'd appreciate that. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay, moving on to items number 55 through 56. 55 VAR 76720, applicant Silverstein Properties, Inc., owner Meadows Lane, owner LLC, for possible action request for a variance to allow 544 parking spaces where 597 are required on the north side of Meadows Lane, east of Decatur Boulevard, Ward 1. Staff recommends denial. Related item 56D, SDR 76721, for possible action request for a major amendment of an approved site development plan review for a 5-story, 334-unit multifamily residential development, where a 6-story, 280-unit development was approved. Staff recommends denial. And before I ask for the report, I will disclose that I have talked to one of the applicants' representatives involved about other projects in the past. We haven't done anything. This won't affect me in a greater or lesser way, so I will be voting tonight. Can I get the staff report, please?
Mr. Chairman, the applicant has increased units and amenities without supplying sufficient parking to accommodate them, and the staff is recommending denial of the applications. Please note additional letters of support have been received since publication. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Get your name and address for the record, please.
Good evening, Jennifer Lazovich, 1980 Festival Plaza Drive, here tonight on behalf of the applicant. As some of the commissioners here may know, this project was previously approved about November of last year. It is located just west of Meadows Mall, and to the north of us is the 95, and to the south of us is Meadows Lane. The project would be located right here. Since that time, the property owner, the now property owner, has selected a local development partner to construct this project, and the changes that were made include removal of all 3-bedroom units, and the 3-bedroom units that we used to have now been converted into either a studio, 1-bedroom, or 2-bedroom. So our unit count did go up from what was previously approved. As you may recall, There was a desire the first time we had this project heard and this time to have an oversized clubhouse with amenities for our own residents. I want to make that very clear. This is a gated apartment project. It is not open to the public. Our clubhouse wouldn't be open to the public, but it's oversized and it exceeds what would typically be referred to as accessory. So when you get into an oversized amenity like that, it requires its own amount of parking to go with it. So the first time I was here, I made this argument that we asked for the parking variance because we didn't want to provide additional parking for something that's only for our residents. It's the same situation here. I have asked the applicant to make sure that if the clubhouse was taken away, we met the parking that would be required for our residences, and they have assured me that that is true. However, the addition of this larger clubhouse necessarily asks for the variance to reduce the parking. So we would ask for your consideration of approval of that, again, being consistent with what we had the last time that we were in front of you. We did do a voluntary neighborhood meeting. Dr. Wagner, who is a dentist who owns a building, a couple of buildings to the west of us, attended and was satisfied with our changes and what the project was looking like now. And with your permission, I just want to address two other points. The first time we were here, there is an existing billboard that is located right adjacent to US 95. We agreed to and asked for a condition that that billboard would remain in its current location, and that is a condition of the prior site plan. I've had dialogue today with planning. We do not need to restate that condition for this site plan review because that condition from the first site plan will remain in effect, but I just want to make it clear for the record that with this redesign of this site plan, that billboard still will remain in its current location as it's there today. And then finally, we did work with Public Works. I'd like to thank them for working with us when our development partner came on board and took a closer look at some of the conditions. There was a request that we spend some more time working with Public Works on conditions number 12 and 13. So to that end, they have agreed with us adding the following words at the end of each of these conditions. For condition number 12, we would ask that the condition be amended to add at the very end of that last sentence, unless an alternative is proposed to and approved by the city engineer. And on condition number 13, at the very end of that condition, we would ask that it be amended to read, unless an alternative is proposed to and approved by the city traffic engineer. This gives us the flexibility to sit down with your either city engineer or city traffic engineer and see if there's alternatives that they may accept. So we do appreciate them agreeing to work with us on that, and I would be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. This is noticed as a public hearing. Anyone from the public like to be heard in this item? Seeing no one, I will turn it over to the commission. Commissioner Rogan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have no questions for the applicant. I just want staff to agree or disagree with the statements that were made by the applicant with regard to both the amended conditions in Public Works 12 and 13, as well as the understanding that the billboard would remain on the property.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I can answer the billboard question. We did have email correspondence with the applicant earlier today. We did clarify that based on the conditions of the original SDR, the billboard will remain. And Public Works can answer the other one.
Mr. Chairman, through you, Roger Bailey with Public Works. Public Works does agree with those conditions as amended.
I have no further comments.
Would you like to make a motion?
Yes, I'll make a motion for approval with conditions on item 55, variance 76720.
Thank you. There's a motion on the floor. Please cast your votes. Please post. And that motion carries.
Mr. Chair, with regard to item 56, SDR 76721, I make a motion for approval.
As amended.
As amended, with conditions.
Thank you, Commissioner. There's a motion on the floor. Please cast your vote. Please post. And that motion carries.
And Mr. Chairman, those items are final action this evening unless appealed to the city clerk's office within 10 days.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Moving on to item number 58, VAR 76658, applicant owners Stanley Kozlowski and Julietta Gray, for possible action request for a variance to allow 2 existing accessory structures in front of the primary building where such is not allowed, and to allow a 0-foot separation from the main building where 6 feet is required at 5311 Manuel Drive, Ward 4. Staff recommends denial. Can we get the staff report, please?
Mr. Chairman, staff finds this request to be a self-imposed hardship and is recommending denial of the request. Please note additional letters of support and protest have been received since publication. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can I get your name and address for the records, please?
Yeah, Chairman, Commissioners, thank you first of all for your time this evening. I'm Stan Kozlowski of 5311 Manuel Drive in Las Vegas, 89149. Looking for approval on this as we had purchased the home in early April. These structures have been installed, we don't even know how many years prior to that. After about 3 weeks of living in the home, we had received the notification that a few of our structures were not in compliance with zoning, and so we started the process to get these approval. But again, they were in place when we purchased the home. They do sit behind an existing front wall and a gate, so aesthetically they're really not noticeable from the street. They do provide much-needed shade as that part of the house faces west, and the garage was actually converted to a living space. So without the garage, we really use these carports to kind of park our cars and keep them cool in the summer. Another thing, we do spend a lot of time out in the front of the house. Our grandkids love to ride their bikes out there, and it was really one of the main reasons that we purchased the home was kind of the cool little uniqueness of not just the front, but some of the areas in the back.
Okay. Thank you very much. This was noticed as a public hearing. Anyone from the public like to be heard? Seeing no one, I'll turn it over to the commission. Commissioner Toussaint?
Yeah, Mr. Kozlowski, I was at your house on Saturday. I was sitting there, and it was hard to see what the structures are because of the way that fence is in front of your driveway. And I know it's been there for a very, very long time, and you'll have my approval tonight. I don't have any problem with it.
Would you like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion. Number 58, VAR 76658, to approve.
There's a motion on the floor. Please cast your votes. Please post. That motion carries.
Enjoy your new house.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Mr. Chairman, that item, rather, is final action this evening unless appealed to the city clerk's office within 10 days.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to item number 59, VAR 76691, applicant owner Alex K. Buzari for possible action request for a variance to allow a 39-foot tall single-family dwelling where 35 feet is allowed at 8101 O'Bannon Drive, Ward 1. Staff recommends denial. Can we get the staff report, please?
Mr. Chairman, staff finds this request to be a self-imposed hardship and is recommending denial of the request. Please note additional letters of support and protest have been received since publication. Also, we have an added condition of approval which reads, all existing trees along the north and east property lines of the property shall remain or be replaced if removed for construction purposes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can I get your name and address for the record, please?
Yes, good evening. Liz Delk, 1980 Festival Plaza Drive, here on behalf of the applicant. This property is a 2-acre portion of approximately 5.5-acre piece of property on the corner of O'Bannon and Valdez. The new property owner would like to take down the existing single-family home and build a new home, 2 stories high, but he does request a height increase up to that 39 feet. The photo here on the top shows the incredible buffering of those beautiful trees that are around the property. We would like to make sure that all of those trees stay, which is why we are requesting to add that additional condition that was read into the record. And happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This is noticed as a public hearing. Anyone from the public like to be heard? Seeing no one, I will turn it over to the commission for discussion. Commissioner Rogan?
I have no questions or comments. I would make a motion for approval with conditions as amended.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor. Please cast your votes. please post. And that motion carries.
Thank you. Good night.
And Mr. Chairman, that item is final action this evening unless appealed to the city clerk's office within 10 days.
Thank you very much. Moving on to citizens' participation. Citizens' participation, public comment during this portion of the agenda must be limited to the matters within the jurisdiction of the Planning Commission. No subject may be acted upon by the Planning Commission unless that subject is on the agenda and scheduled for action. If you wish to be heard, come to the podium and give your name for the record. The amount of discussion of any single subject, as well as the amount of time any single speaker is allowed, may be limited. Anyone from the public like to be heard? Please come forward. I'll need your name and address for the record, sir.
My name is Paul A. Prekop Jr., 5220 North Lisa Lane, Las Vegas, 89149. I'm here for the, I wanted to know the results of the dispensary in the Northwest that was talked about.
It was the application, both of them were withdrawn without prejudice, so it wasn't heard tonight, and it was taken off the agenda.
Is it going to be put back on, or?
It could be put on in the future, but at this point, it's on. We won't be hearing it anytime soon, or, unless they come back with an application, at which time, if you live within the notification area, you'll get another notification.
Okay, I didn't get I don't know where I got the notification. I think my wife picked it up at Albertsons or something, but I didn't get anything mailed to me. You got my record of my address when I get something?
As long as it's within that, is it 1,000-foot radius? Is that correct?
Yeah, it should be the 1,000 feet for, I believe it's, I'm sorry?
Through you, Chairman, 1,500 feet.
Oh,
Yes,
that's right,
1,500 feet. And so, yes, as the chairman mentioned, that item's been withdrawn at this time, so the applicant could come back with an additional request at a later date, but given the reason why they withdrew it, which was neighborhood opposition, I don't anticipate another application at that location at this time.
Excellent. Was there, I was just one other thing, was there a lot of opposition here for that?
Again,
It wasn't heard.
It wasn't heard, so
Oh,
we
wasn't
didn't
heard?
hear
Okay.
anything.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for your
And if it does come back, there's also a posting in the window, I believe, of the shopping center, proposed shopping center. So if you do see that, that's another reason to stop, read it, and come to the meeting.
Okay, and the shopping center, that was the shopping center on the northeast corner of Craig and Tenaya?
Yes.
Thank you.
Correct. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else like to be heard? Would Mr. Klein, would you like to be heard tonight? Nothing? Nothing? Got the whole team? No? Okay. All right, meeting adjourned. Thank you.